Hello everyone, and welcome back to your grade 11 English class. Last episode we looked at why the planet is in danger and some of the reasons why the planet is in danger. We also looked at a few vocabulary items. This episode we are going to look at a little bit more vocabulary items as well as a few grammatical issues and functions. Are you guys ready? I hope you are. Let's get started. So, as always, I am going to have the picture for you on the screen and the words right under there. And what I want you to do is to choose what is the word that best corresponds to the picture. Are you ready? So, let's take a look at the first word. So we have someone who's giving you a thumbs up and he's giving you a yes for something. So when you take that yes for something, what are you receiving? You are receiving a smokestack? No, of course, you are receiving a consent. Very good. So consent is a verb and it means to give permission for something to happen. So you are allowing it to happen, okay? So look at this example. The bank didn't consent my request for a loan. So I went to the bank and I wanted a loan, I wanted money. But the bank did not consent, they didn't allow it and they didn't give permission. Okay? So let's look at word number 2. So you have a right and wrong. So when you're telling someone, you're sometimes right, you're sometimes wrong, you're always contradict. Very good. So contradict is a verb and it means to deny the truth of a statement, especially by asserting the opposite. Okay? So for example, you're saying one thing and then at another time you're saying another thing that is opposite of what you said at the beginning. So this is a contradiction and you are contradicting yourself. So look at this example. What you are saying now contradicts what you said yesterday. So you said something now, okay? And then you said something, yesterday, and now you're saying something that contradicted what you said yesterday. They're not the same, okay? So let's look at the third word. So you have fear. So when you're in fear of something, or you are worried about something, or you are fearful of something, what are you doing? You are dreading this thing. Very good. So dread is a verb and it means to anticipate with great apprehension or fear. So you are worried and you are fearful of something. So look at this example. The patient dreads the result of the x-ray. So we have a patient who was at the doctor and he was taking an x-ray and he dreads the result. He's afraid of it. Let's look at the next example or the next word. So we have someone who is throwing things in the garbage. So when you throw it, what do? You are dumping it. Very good. So dump is a verb and it is to deposit or dispose of garbage, waste, or unwanted material, typically in a careless or hurried way. So imagine you're like walking by the garbage and you're just like throwing it very fast. You're dumping it, okay? So for example, can you dump the trash in the garbage outside? Okay, let's look at the next word. So for people who love cars, I love cars. So for people who love cars, you should know what this is. Did you get it? I'm sure you did. It's very easy. It's the exhaust pipe. Exhaust pipe is a noun. And what it is a pipe on a car or machine through which the waste gases are set out. Okay, so look at the example. The exhaust pipes in cars emit toxic fumes. So they let out toxic fumes. Okay, so let's look at the next word. You ready? So there's a lot of garbage in a large area of land. I gave you the answer. Land. Did you get it? It's landfill site. So landfill site is a noun. And what it is a place to dispose of waste by burying it and covering it over with soil. Okay? So for example, this remote area will be used as a landfill site. Okay? Let's look at the next word. Second. So you have first, you have second. So what is the word that corresponds with second? If you chose latter, then you are correct. Latter is an adjective. And what it is denoting for the second or the second mention between two people. So for example, these are Ahmed and Muhammad. The former, the first, is an engineer and the latter is a doctor. So Muhammad is a doctor. Okay? So let's look at the next word. It's real or fake? I don't know. What it is? What is it? Is it real or fake? What is it? It is nominal. So nominal is an adjective, which means it exists in name only. It is not 100% real and sure and for sure. It is only in name. So for example, the new director has only a nominal power. Okay, so he's a new manager or something and he only has a nominal power. It is his assistant who runs the company. Okay, so let's look at this word. So it's a place where a lot of fumes are coming out of. They are coming out of what? Did you get that? Well, it is a smokestack. Smokestack is a noun, and it is a chimney or a pipe that discharges smoke from a locomotive, ship, or factory. So for example, smoke coming out of smokestacks of factories cause air pollution. Okay? Very good, excellent. So we have this word. So it's a detective and he thinks that someone did the crime. He thinks or he suspects. Suspect is a verb and it means to doubt the genuineness or the truth of something. So for example, the jury suspects that the criminal stole numerous times before. They suspect that he did it before. It is not the first time, they think that he did it before. Okay? Let's look at the multiple choice questions. Almost all factories have blank, which emit toxic gases. Factories, they have something which lets out the toxic gases. What do they have? They have a smokestack. Very good. Question number 2. The police blank him to be the criminal. They think he is the criminal. The police suspect him to be the criminal. Very good. Let's look at question number 3. He is the blank, dean of the university. The real dean is on vacation. So he is the what? The latter, the overall, the nominal, the marine. He is the nominal dean of the university. Very good. He is there by name. So let's look at the gap filling. We have the words contradict, dump, smokestack, landfill site, latter, and nominal. So number 1, the waste was thrown. So we have waste, garbage. It was thrown somewhere. Where was it thrown? In the landfill site. Very good. Number 2, the survey seems to blank what the CEO announced yesterday. So the CEO, the manager of the company, said something yesterday, but the survey says something else. So it contradicts it. Very good, excellent. So question number 3. They either had to buy new furniture or move to another house. They chose the blank. What did they choose? Did they choose the first or the second? They chose the latter. Very good, excellent. This is it for the vocabulary. Now let's look at the grammar. The grammar here is pretty simple and this is pretty fun because it's types of words and types of words are very fun. Well, to me at least. Today we're going to be talking about the types of verbs, okay? And we have 2 main types of verbs. We have stative verbs and dynamic verbs, okay? So again, 2 types of verbs, stative and dynamic. People who love cars will know that a car is moved by something. It is moved by a dynamo, right? The dynamo, what does it do to the car? It makes it move, correct? So the dynamo comes from the word dynamic, or dynamic comes from the word dynamo, and it means moving verbs. So they are verbs that have action and movement. So for example, when you run, you're moving, right? What about when you eat? You're also moving. What about when you talk? You are also moving. So these are all dynamic verbs. Let's look at the other types of verbs. Stative verbs are the verbs that refer to conditions or state. They refer to thinking or feelings. So for example, what if I tell you, I love pizza? The word love, it's a verb, right? But where's the movement? There's no movement, right? So it is a stative verb, okay? So let's look at the verbs that you have right in front of you. One of the verbs is know. I know that you are a doctor. I know that you are a doctor. So the word know is a stative verb. There is no movement. Look at the one under it. Listen carefully if you want to understand. Listen carefully if you want to understand. Look at the one under that. Agree. He agrees with you completely. So he agrees with you completely. Look at the one under it. Believe. I believe in your ability. Just like every teacher believes in the ability of their students. I believe in your ability. Think. Do you think I made the right choice? Reckon. I reckon I should leave at 3 o'clock to catch the flight. So I reckon it almost means I think. I expect. So the word expect. Do you expect to see him tomorrow? So do you think you're going to see him tomorrow? Do you expect to see him? Realize. To realize means you found something out. Do you realize how important this is? It is very important. Do you realize how important this is? These are thinking verbs. Let's look at the feeling verbs. I love. I love to play the guitar. My students know that I really love to play the guitar. So the word love is a feeling verb. What about hate? Doesn't he hate vanilla? He doesn't like it. What about like? They like animals. And what about fear? I fear that I have made the wrong decision. So, to recap, we've spoken about dynamic verbs and stative verbs, okay? We said that dynamic verbs are verbs that have action and movement. Stative verbs are verbs that do not have action and movement, but they do refer to feelings and thoughts. What I want you to do now is to take out your student book and go to page number 86. Have a pen or a pencil ready and answer exercise number 1 and exercise number 2 with me. Let's look at the question. Make a list of the verbs which people use to talk about their thoughts and their feelings in these extracts from the interviews. What tenses are all the verbs in? So, I want you to focus on the sentences that you have in exercise number 1. These sentences have stative verbs. They are either thoughts or feelings. What I want you to do is to choose. Where do you put them? In the thought or in the feeling category? Let's look at question number A. I don't think things are getting better. I don't think. Is it a thinking verb or a feeling verb? It is a thinking verb. So put a line under don't think and put it in a think or in a thought column. Okay? Do you know what tense this is in? This is, of course, in the present simple. Let's look at B. I suppose global warming is the most serious problem for me. So what do you think is the verb here? Very good. The verb is I suppose. Okay? What do you think it is? Is it a thought or a feeling? It is a thought. Excellent. Very good. Let's look at C. The pollution is unbearable. I believe it is making people ill. So where do you think the verb is? Believe. Very good. Excellent. What do you think it is? Is it a thought or a feeling verb? It is a thought verb. Excellent. Let's look at D. I reckon this is causing global warming. Where's the verb? Reckon. Excellent. Is it a thought or a feeling verb? It is a thought verb. Look at exercise or question E. I love wild animals and I hate to think that more of them will become extinct. Where are they? They are love and hate. Excellent, very good. And they are feeling verbs. Very good, excellent. And we also have think, which is thought. I know what the problems are. People are hunting. So where's the verb? Know. Excellent. Is it a thought or feeling? It is a thought verb. Excellent. I want you to do it yourself. Page number 86, exercise number 2. Now we are going to move on to the compound nouns. What are compound nouns? Compound nouns are two words that make up a new word. So there are two nouns that make up a new noun. So let's look at this example right here. So I have break and I have fast. What does it make? Breakfast. Very good. Look at the other examples. Hair and brush. So your hair and a brush. What does it make if you put them together? Hairbrush. What about cheese? Cheese and cake. If you put them together, they make cheesecake. So they are words. The word cheesecake is made of two words, cheese and cake. Okay? Very good. Now let's look at the language functions. With the language functions, what I want you to do, okay, is to imagine yourself in that situation and tell me, what would you do or say in that situation? Okay? So what would you say in that situation? Put yourself in that situation and imagine, what would you reply? Okay? Very good. So let's look at these examples right there. And don't forget to write in full grammatical sentences. Okay? Don't give me one or two words. I want a full sentence. Okay? So let's look at this example. Your friend asks you why governments build sanctuaries for animals. So your friend comes to you and he asks you, why do governments build sanctuaries for animals? What would you reply? Go back to the ideas of the text. The answer is, I think governments build sanctuaries to protect animals from hunters. Okay? Let's look at the other question. Your brother eats a lot of snacks and processed food. So your brother likes to eat processed food and a lot of snacks a lot, like me. So what would you reply? I suggest that you should stop and follow a healthy diet instead. So, to summarize everything up, we looked at new vocabulary items. We looked at the dynamic verbs and the stative verbs. We looked at the difference between thought and feeling verbs. And we looked at compound nouns and how to make compound nouns. Finally, we looked at some of the language functions. I hope that you benefited from this episode, and I hope to see you again in the next one.